Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome to the Expedition Project Live. Got a very special edition tonight. I'm joined by Maddy and Mia. Hi Maddy and Mia, how are you?
Hi, good, thank you.
Yeah, we're good.
So we're going to be talking all about a recent experience that Maddy and Mia did to Zululand Rhino Orphanage. And they've just got back the last couple of weeks. So we're going to dive into that and ask them loads of questions. But because this is a live stream, we wanted you to get active as well. So make sure that during this, you ask any questions you want. If you've got any questions for Maddy and Mia or their experience, then feel free to give us a shout. If you're watching this on replay, still post your questions, still write them down in the comments. We can always get back to you afterwards, but it's a chance to hear about this amazing experience that Maddy and Mia had. And for you guys just to ask as many questions as you want. So yeah, I guess first question to you guys, Maddy and Mia, how does it feel to be back in the cold after spending good 3 weeks in some very warm weather?
Yeah, it was definitely a shock when we got off the plane and we were still in like our t-shirts and we had to put a coat on. It was, yeah.
The rain's not nice either.
Yeah.
I suppose a massive contrast is that the area you're in, which is the sort of Zululand area, which is in the KwaZulu-Natal province of South Africa, is known to be quite sweaty and quite warm, right?
Yeah,
definitely.
Right, so let's dive straight in. So you spent 3 weeks there. Before we sort of go into some of the breakdown of what you got involved with and some of your sort of day-to-day activities and what that was like, what were some of your expectations sort of going into this? What did you sort of, what were those feelings before you actually sort of left to go and do an experience like this for the first time?
So I've been wanting to go to South Africa for a long time, since I was like 15, so about 5 years. So it's been a long time coming. And then with COVID pushing everything back, I think we were just so excited to get out there and do anything. I don't think we really had a lot of expectations, just seeing wildlife and being involved in anything and everything. And so, yeah, we were so excited just to do anything.
Yeah, I think we knew the trip was going to be good, but like it went above our expectations.
Yeah.
And then I think it was just a massive relief once we got on the plane because we knew we were finally going. We've been planning this trip for so long, and just to finally go is, yeah, it's so good.
To bring all the viewers into context, I started speaking with you guys, you know, just I suppose just before sort of COVID and all of that, and we were planning, and it was like, okay, well maybe we'll go this time, and then a lockdown happened, and then maybe we'll go this time, and then another lockdown happened, and we did really seem to sort of keep postponing it, didn't we?
I think we didn't know until like the week before whether we were going to go or not. It was very stressful.
It's so true, because just, you know, in the November last year, another red list hit the news. So you're right. We almost didn't manage to go at all yet again. I can't believe it. Okay, so 3 weeks now. You made a decision because you were flying such a long way, and you were going to make this, you know, one of those once in a lifetime trips that you want to spend a good length of time. Did you think that 3 week decision now in hindsight was a good length?
It's difficult. I think it was, and I think it was a good enough time to see everything we wanted to see and enjoy it fully. But we did not want to leave when those 2 weeks are over. But I'm not sure that any amount of time would have fulfilled what we wanted.
Yeah.
The sort of adage is that once you've visited Africa in general, you always leave a piece of your heart there. It is a very special place, and there's something about it, isn't it? It's the people, it's the sights, it's the smells, it's the everything. It does get under your skin, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Okay, so let's dive straight in. So week number 1, I'm going to show, here's some of your highlights that you spoke about. Obviously, you arrived after a pretty long journey and straight into the Zululand Rhino Orphanage. And then you had an action-packed first week. Do you want to talk us through some of those highlights?
Yeah, so I'm just going to start off with like what life was like on the Rhino Orphanage. So at the minute, they've got one male rhino orphan called Lako. He's 9 months old. I think they've had him since he was like 2 days old. So like our daily routine was feeding him. Yep, that's him there. We fed him 4 times a day. We fed him some milk, and then we also gave him teff and lucerne, which is a bit like hay. Yeah, just being able to bottle feed a rhino, like it's not something you can say you've done. Like not many people can say that. So yeah, that was really cool. We also cleaned out his boma. That's a picture of his boma there. Just like cleaning out his bedding, making sure his water was fresh, stuff like that. And then we'd also let him out into a bigger boma during the day so he could explore a bit and just get used to life in the bush, I guess. The orphanage also has 2 hippos called Charlie and Moomin. They were also orphans, so we had to feed them as well because Charlie required medication. So we used to put his medication into some like mashed up pellets, and they'd come to the fence, open their mouths and chuck some feed in. So that was really cool as well. And then we also had the anti-poaching dog, Mystique, living with us. She's honestly the loveliest dog you'll ever meet. She's a trained lion tracker. Yeah, she is. But she's also scared of storms. So one night we had a massive storm and she was in our room. We wrapped her up so she was nice and comfortable. So yeah, that's pretty much what we got up to on the orphanage during the day.
Nice. And then straight off the bat, like quite early on, you got to do something you were hoping to do, wasn't sort of 100%, but also weren't expecting to do as soon as that, and that was a fantastic helicopter ride. And going to do, I'll let you tell the full story.
Yeah, so it was our first day actually. And we got there and Simone said we were waking up early in the morning, so we had to be ready to go at 5 a.m. and we went straight into a dehorning, which was incredible. So we drove there and we just drove across the reserve, but already we were in awe because we saw so many different like animals and like impala, zebra, giraffe, and they were all laughing at us because we were like, oh my god, a sighting. Yeah, so that was already incredible. And then we got there and we got to watch the helicopter go up to dart the rhino, and it was actually a black rhino calf, which was so rare to see. So it was incredible that we got to get like up close and personal with it. And we were able to get involved helping take some samples. And then we watched the dehorning, which was really interesting to see because obviously you hear a lot about it and it's such a crucial thing to like prevent poaching. But it was amazing to see it. And then, yeah, afterwards we got to go in the helicopter, which we were not expecting at all.
Our first crazy. Morning, like, yeah. It was crazy.
It was really, really cool. And it's so cool being up there without the doors as well. So you're like sat there just like looking out the helicopter. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. I mean, as I said, one thing to do at some point in your journey, but to have that thrown at you on the first day is absolutely amazing. Let's have a look at what some of the other highlights were. I'll just bring the little highlights thing up. So next up, it was wild dog feed and also Pangolin Walk.
Yeah, so with the wild dogs, they were holding 4 male wild dogs in a boma for another reserve. So because they were in the boma, they had to be fed and checked. Well, they were fed 2 to 3 times a week and checked on every day. So we got to go to some of these feeds and the boma checks. So the first 2 weeks, because it's summer, it's summer there. Yeah. The grass is really long. So we drove up and like it looked empty. Then all of a sudden you'd see these ears pop up. And we put the food in. They were quite shy. They didn't want to come up to the feed whilst we were stood nearby. So we had to get back in the van and drive away a little bit, but we could still see them feed. And then
like jumping as well.
Yeah, they'd follow the van and you just see them hopping out the grass. And then in the last week, they cut the grass in the boma. So we got to properly see them feed. So that was really cool.
Amazing.
And because they cut the grass, loads of birds came as well. So like vultures, birds, storks.
There's loads of kites as well. Yeah.
It's just really great to see wild dogs. I don't think many people get to see them.
Yeah, no, definitely. Oh, definitely one of my favorites. Just a reminder to anyone watching, if you are watching on Facebook, just grant StreamYard permission to see your name. So if you do post any comments, that your name does come up. Otherwise, it comes up as just sort of Facebook user like this. So you'll just need to go to streamyard.com/Facebook and then just activate that. And then every time you post a comment, your name will come up as well. And we can acknowledge who's posting the comments. Keep sending your comments through. So then after that, Pangolin Walk, was that next?
Yeah, so we went on the Pangolin Walk. We weren't expecting that either. We came back from the wild dog feed and we went straight out to a Pangolin Walk. And that was incredible because we got to see Stevie. So he was on soft release on the reserve. So they basically take him out on walks every day, try and help him like gain weight. So he was rescued from the illegal wildlife trade. But a pangolin is not something you would ever normally see. Like they're so rare and they're so like secretive, they hide. So to be able to see him and also see him walking around and feeding and he's completely comfortable, like it was incredible. And we just kind of followed him around and watched him for a few hours and watched him eat. And then you'd know when he was done eating because he'd start either looking for a burrow or start like playing. So the first day he started trying to like crawl up my leg like to show that he was done eating. So yeah, that was really cool.
Oh my God. So a few days in and we've had rhino dehorning, we had wild dogs, we had pangolins, we've had a helicopter ride. It's actually amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. The pangolin walks as well, they were out in the bush. So you kind of didn't think of it at the time, but afterwards you kind of remembered that you were out in the complete wilderness, just like walking this pangolin and anything could have come up, which when you like think back on it is quite like scary, but at the time it was really exciting.
So for those of you that don't know, pangolin is one of the most trafficked animals in the world, and sadly it is a real issue, and a lot of what organizations similar to Zululand Conservation Trust and others, what they do is they are able to sometimes, via some good work from police and stuff like that, manage to stop any trafficking and then rehabilitate these penguins and get them sort of rehabilitated and fed up. And then as I'm sure you can say, Maddy and Mia, the plan is obviously to get them fed up and then release them as soon as you can again.
Yeah, I think they have to reach a certain weight before they can get like properly released.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of waiting for them to.
And then when they are released, they're fitted with a tracker so they can like monitor the movements and just keep an eye on them.
And they can eat a lot of the day. Hey, they if given the opportunity, they'll eat pretty much non-stop, won't they?
Yeah, I think Stevie was eating about 500 grams a day, which is quite a lot.
Yeah,
he'd be like constantly eating for the 3-hour walk.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so and then you got to meet the guys from Wildlife Act. Is that right?
Yeah, we spent quite a lot of time with Wildlife Act. We went out with them 3 times a week.
Yeah,
most weeks. Yeah. So quick overview of Wildlife Act. They're a non-profit organisation that track priority species on reserves. So in the reserve we were on, they tracked the elephants, the lions, cheetah, and they also tracked the orphaned rhinos that were released from the orphanage. So a lot of the time we went out very early in the morning. It would be dark when we left and we'd see the sunrise. So that was really cool. So yeah, this was probably the time when we saw most animals. Like we just drive around the reserve for hours and just see what we could. We also learned a lot about tracking. So obviously some of the animals in the reserve are fitted with collars, or some of the rhinos have got a horn pod, and we'd use telemetry to locate them. So it's kind of like a satellite thing that you hold, and it like beeps when it's I'm not explaining this well. It beeps when you're like pointing in the right direction, and then you do multiple lines and triangulate it to like pinpoint them. So, and then more with animal tracking, you'd use like other animals' behaviors, footprints, just stuff like that. So I thought by the end we thought we were like animal trackers. Yeah, we learned a lot with Wildlife Act. It's really good.
And you also managed then to see some lions for the first time, is that right?
Yeah, quite a few times, which was quite exciting because they were what we were really hoping to see.
We were always like, we want to see lions.
Yeah.
They can often, you so often be, unless you catch it at the right moment, like quite a, almost in inverted commas, kind of like the boring animal to see, because they don't really do much most of the day, do they?
They're very lazy.
I think every time we saw them, they were just like lying around and like just chilling.
Oh, it's a cat's life. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, can you believe it? That's only week one, and all those things you've done already. So absolutely incredible. And obviously, just a caveat to anyone out there listening. You know, any of these experiences or similar experiences, you know, it's always going to be different. There's never an exact tick box of things that will be done or can be done. You know, it really does depend on, you know, the time, what needs to be done, what is planned to be done, and all of that. So. You know, sometimes there's a lot that can go on in a few days, and sometimes that can get spread out over a few weeks. You know, it really does depend. But moving into week two, I mean, still a fantastic list of things. I mean, it'll be hard to beat week one, but you know, in week two already, you were starting to work with cheetahs, gone to the community side of things a little bit more, and another rhino dehorning, just amazing. Yeah. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so we were lucky enough that they had two male cheetahs coming in. So they tried to move cheetahs around quite a lot because their genetics are quite small. They went through a bottleneck a few years ago. I think it was quite a bit longer than a few years ago, but a while ago. And so they try and move the cheetahs around to keep the population like new. And so they had two new males coming in. And cheetahs can be like predated on by lions. So the lions can just attack them. So they have quite a low survival rate. Try and bond males together because their chance of survival is higher when they're together. So these were two males that weren't siblings that they were keeping in a boma to try and get them to bond closer together. So we got to watch their release, which was incredible because as soon as you opened the crate that they'd been in for traveling, they like darted out so fast, and we barely even saw them. To be honest, it was like a blur. And then we were able to help like feeding them and doing the boma checks as well. But for feeding them, they were very different to the wild dogs because they just hid the whole time. So they were very, very skittish. So they'd hide like in the back bushes, and you could maybe like catch like a tail or like some eyes staring at you. And when we were checking the bomas, we'd sometimes see them like running between the bushes to like hide in a different one.
Amazing. Okay, let's have a look. And so what was next then? We got some rhino samples as well that you were doing?
Yeah, so we spent one morning sorting out all of the rhino samples that the reserve had. So when they do the dehornings, they take tissue samples and bits of the horn just to like keep a log of like DNA for future breeding and moving animals. So we had to like date them all and name them. And there was a lot of samples to go through. Like this is like going years back. So, yeah, some of them are very old and a bit smelly. So it's not all fun animals and stuff. There is a lot of work behind the scenes as well. But it was really cool to get involved in that as well.
Nice. Keep sending through questions. If anyone watching wants to ask Maddy or me any questions, please send them through. Could be anything about the experience, their favorite part, some of the animals they worked with, anything. Please feel free to post anything. And then you got a chance to actually go into the community a little bit and take you away from the animals and go and meet some of the nearby communities.
Yeah, this was so special because it was our first time like going out into the communities and like seeing the people and like experiencing how they live and everything, and it was incredible. So we drove through and we stopped at 4 different communities, and when we're driving through, it's like through all the hills, and like the scenery up there is so beautiful, it's amazing. And then we were working with the SA Rugby Legends, and the food had been provided by SA Harvest and the Domino Foundation. So we had quite a lot of people there. Like it was quite a big team of us that was like giving out the food. And there was like big bags of like maize and potatoes, and obviously like all the rugby legends are like these big guys, and they're like throwing the bags off the truck. We're just like trying to catch these bags, getting like smacked in the face. But yeah, it was really incredible. And to meet all the people and see how happy they were. Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh, amazing. Okay, let's have a look. Oh my God. And then next on the list was another dehorning. So the second dehorning in 2 weeks. Incredible.
Yeah, so I think this whole morning was the most manic morning we'd ever had. Like it just shows predictable life can be. So we started the morning, I think it was like 5 a.m. start. We started with a rhino dehorning. This rhino was actually the mother of the calf we did the previous week. This rhino decided to stop in thick bush and trees, and like the calf which landed on the road. So we had to like scramble through the bush just to get to this rhino and quickly dehorn it. But yeah, it was really great to see another black rhino because it just doesn't happen. Then after that, after the dehorning was done, we were going back, and unfortunately we saw an injured wildebeest calf. Unfortunately, we had to put it out of its misery. So life's not always, I don't know how to put this, like this sad part to it as well, like, but it's the circle of life, and we put it out of its suffering. And then we used the carcass to feed the cheetah, the ones that we release into the boma. So we went in, took the carcass in, and whilst we were strapping the carcass up, the cheetah came over to us, probably like about 10 meters away, and we were like, wow, they're really like used to people now, because they were so skittish. Like we'd probably only been there like 2 days before, and they were still hiding in the bush. We were just like, the change was drastic. So we left the boma, and then we realized the reason for their behavior, because at the edge of their boma at the fence was a group of lions. I think there was 7 lions altogether. So we got in the truck and we had to see. This was our best lion sighting of the whole trip. And we had to scare them away. I tried to film it, but I ended up filming the floor, which was really annoying. But yeah, so we chased these lions off in the truck, which was really cool. And yeah, this was all before 10 a.m. in the morning. We did all of this. So yeah. And then, so we went back to the orphanage.
We had a nap.
Yeah, we were very tired. We napped, and then and then we went out for a meal with the team, which was really nice, just to be able to get to know the team more. They were all so lovely. Like I don't think we could have met nicer people. So yeah, it was really nice just to relax a bit and get to know everyone and just have some fun.
Oh, lovely. No, I mean, these stories are just absolutely amazing, and you guys are really breaking it down so nicely. So I mean, so that was, week 2, I guess. Yeah, looks like week 2 done. Absolutely amazing. And now it's sort of approaching your third week. I suppose on your mind is you sort of probably thinking, oh, this has got to come to an end at some point, which is going to be a bit sad, but you've still got a lot more to do. So third week involved a little bit of creche painting, a bit more of the cultural experience side of things. And then you got to meet local wildlife vet Mike, and also met a little abandoned mongoose as well.
Yeah, so the painting we did was in the creche in one of the communities. So it's kind of like their primary school. And so we were just painting the walls to kind of bring some life into it and like make it look a bit nicer. So we spent 3 days, and those are some of the painted, and we got completely covered in paint and ruined a lot of clothes because we ripped them and covered them in paint. But it was really nice, like, to do something for the community that you know is going to last so long. Like, those paintings are going to be there for years to come. And yeah, it was really special to like get involved, and they were all coming in to like look and see what we were painting, and they all looked so happy with it. And yeah, it was just so special.
And for anyone watching, this is actually Mia's handiwork. They haven't just filled in the gaps. This is actually all Mia, which is incredible. So nice. Amazing, guys. Okay, and then what was next? You met Mike next, who was the local wildlife vet?
Yeah, so we got to do 2 days with Mike. Our first day, we went over to another reserve and we did a cheetah relocation. So this cheetah had originally been hand-reared and was released onto the reserve and was doing fine, hunting okay. But then recently she'd stopped hunting and backed herself into a corner of the reserve where there was no game. So she wasn't eating and was losing a lot of weight. So the reserve called Mike to move her to somewhere more central in the reserve. So we watched Mike dart the cheetah and helped move her onto the back of the vehicle and place a drip. So, and then we were given the task of riding in the back of the truck with the cheetah just to keep an eye on her. So Maddy was holding the drip and monitoring that, and I was I had to keep checking whether she was still out or not. And it's very technical. I was given a blade of grass to poke in her ear, and if the ear twitched, it meant that she was starting to wake up. Thankfully, she didn't wake up. But this ride was very bumpy. We went over a bump at one point and I flew into the air.
I think they were in a bit of a rush to get her to where she needed to be before she like woke up. So they were driving through the reserve quite fast. And obviously you're on the back of the cruiser just kind of getting like flung around.
I think I screamed at one point and they thought the cheetah had woken up. I was like, no, it's very bumpy. So yeah, once we got to where they wanted to release her, we took her off the back of the truck and Mike gave her the antidote and we just watched her wake up. It's quite a long process. I think it can take up to about an hour. So we only watched the first few stages of it before we left, but someone stayed with her until she was fully awake and functioning. But yeah, it was so cool to get like so close to a cheetah and just help her, and hopefully she's doing better now.
Yeah, they said that she was doing better 2 days later. Apparently she was hunting again. So
amazing. My God, you guys have ticked off so many things. It's just absolutely incredible. And it sounds like, from all the laughter as well. I mean, you guys obviously arrived as friends, and it sounds like you've left with so many more experiences. You're probably even better friends now from this. It's just absolutely incredible.
I think living in the little room that we were in together as well kind of forces you to be really close.
Yeah, we were with each other 24/7.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So then to round up the week, you had to look after an abandoned mongoose. Is that right?
Yeah. So one of the lodgers had found some baby mongoose. So there was 2 of them. And they called them Pip and Squeak because one of them was very loud and it like squeals in a very annoying way. But we just had to look after them. I think they were only with us for like 2 days, I think, before they got passed on to a rescue facility. But we just had to help feed them, and then you've got to like wipe their bums to help them to poo as well. But they were so cute, and it was really sweet because obviously you don't get many chances to like hold a baby mongoose, so that was really, really special.
Amazing. And then as we were sort of coming to the end of that final week, we sort of managed to organize a special treat for you just to come to the end. Now, obviously, the orphanage is an area where there are lots of different reserves and everything all sort of around, and that area is so sort of teeming with wildlife, absolutely amazing. But in one of the reserves, there's a fantastic lodge called Rhino River Lodge, which is where you got to spend a night for your final night. Yeah, maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we were kind of gifted a night at the Rhino River Lodge. Compared to what we've been staying in, there was nothing wrong with what we were staying in, but like going from being in a converted shipping container to a like amazing lodge, it was just a great way to finish off our trip. So we arrived to lunch. Oh, the food was just amazing. Like compared to what we've been eating, we've been having to shop in the local town and cook for ourselves, and then to go to the lodge and have 3-course meals. It was insane. So we had lunch, and then we had a bit of time spared just to chill around the pool, and then we went on an evening game drive. What did we see that night?
Saw rhino and hyena.
Yeah, the hyena was really cool to see. And then we came back to a 3-course dinner, and we sat around the campfire for a bit and had a few drinks. Then we went to bed because we were up early again the next morning for another game drive, where we saw, I think, in total 17 rhino, which is crazy. And then we came back to a lovely breakfast as well. We were very full when we left. And we were so sad to leave because it was so nice. But yeah, it was amazing.
Oh, it just sounds absolutely incredible. I mean, just listening to some of the stories, but mainly just the whole list of animals that you managed to come into contact with, see, work with. I mean, you've really ticked off everything. I mean, in such a short space of time to come in contact with hyena, wild dog, rhino, lion, cheetah, mongoose, pangolin. I mean, that's just absolutely incredible. You realize how incredible that is, right? It's just,
it was so amazing.
Is there something from both of you that is standing out as that one moment that, you just, I mean, obviously there's a whole host of moments you'll never forget, I'm sure, but is there something that's really standing out as that standout moment?
I think for me, it was just that first morning. It just like hit me that we were there and that like we just went straight into it. Like, I think that was where it hit me for me. Yeah.
I think for me, one of my favorite moments was after we'd had a meal with some of the team and we were driving back and the sun was setting and we were like driving through like the South Africa wilderness with the sunset in front of us. And it was just so special. Like, it's such a once in a lifetime opportunity that, I'll never forget that.
The dusk is like my favorite time in South Africa in general. It is just so different there than any other sort of, than dusk, any other place that I feel like. But it has got such a special vibe, doesn't it? It really, it's absolutely incredible. Oh, guys, that just sounds so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, all your that journey, sharing the photos and all those stories. Really amazing. Presumably, you're happy for anyone to reach out if they want to. Ask any questions about that. And I guess, to round it up, when are you going back again?
As soon as we can.
God, no, that sounds incredible. So would you recommend an experience like this to students or vet students or conservation students or anyone passionate about wildlife? Would you recommend it?
Yeah, definitely. Anyone who's studying veterinary and is in their first couple of years and wants to get some really amazing animal husbandry experience, definitely would recommend it. It was incredible. And even if you're not studying veterinary and you just want to go to South Africa, it's definitely worth it. It's so amazing. And the team is so lovely, as much as they can. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. So we've got a question come through. It says, for you guys, did this count as clinical EMS?
So for us, this was animal husbandry EMS. There were some aspects of it that could have counted towards clinical, but we're going into our clinical years now, but we weren't at the stage where we wanted clinical yet.
So I don't know the name of this this person. As I said, if you do go to streamyard.com/Facebook and just activate that, then we'll be able to see your name when it pops up. But for this particular project, they only take 2 students at a time. It's a very small project, a very kind of specialized facility and stuff like that. So they, taking volunteers, taking students, that it isn't what they do, so to speak. It's something extra. It's something that they will happily do when they can, and Maddy and Mia were able to do that. If you do want to find out more, feel free to reach out to me, and we can discuss if it might work for you. As Maddy mentioned, the elements that can very easily be clinical EMS sort of tick boxes, but it's never guaranteed with stuff like this. There's so many different things going on. Some weeks you might spend more time with Mike, Mike the vet. Sometimes you won't. Sometimes you'll get all the amazing experiences like, Maddy and Mia were able to participate on for these 3 weeks, and sometimes it might be less. So animal husbandry, definitely. Clinical EMS, yes, but it can be, it can vary week to week. But yeah, feel free to reach out if you want to ask any more questions. Someone else says, sounds amazing, guys. Thank you so much for sharing. Definitely second that. Thank you so much for sharing all that information. Here's some of the sort of final quotes that you guys sent through. So Mia, you said, once a lifetime opportunity to work with some amazing South African wildlife. The team could not have been any nicer and got us involved in as much as possible. Would definitely recommend. Maddy, you said an incredible experience for animal husbandry EMS, student wanting to experience South African wildlife to its fullest. The whole Zululand Rhino Orphanage team is amazing and super friendly. I can't recommend it highly enough. And Mia, you said the best 3 weeks of your life, learned so much, not only about South Africa, but also about myself, and made some unforgettable memories. So, I mean, yeah, really, really sums it up. Thank you so much again. Any final words from you guys before we round up?
Just if anyone has the opportunity to go, definitely go and get involved, because it is so worth it. Yeah. It's really life-changing.
Don't put it off, just do it. It's worth it.
Oh, amazing. No, thank you so much, guys. It's been lovely to chat to you, and it's been an absolute dream working with you guys to try and plan this, and I'm so glad that it worked out so nicely for you, that you had a great time, that you eventually managed to do it, because at one point of 2 years of planning with COVID, it seemed like something that was just never going to happen. So I'm so thrilled for you that the experience worked out and was so nice. And all the team, said how amazing you were to work with, and you were just loving every minute and soaking it all up. So yeah, just congratulations. Amazing. And thank you so much. Cool. All right, guys. Have a good evening. Thank you, guys. Thanks so much. And to everyone watching, if you're watching on replay, feel free to still post your questions. We can always answer it afterwards, but reach out to Maddy and Mia if you want. Otherwise, reach out to myself, and we can tell you a bit more in detail if you want. But thank you to everyone watching. Thank you again to Maddy and Mia. Thank you to Zululand Rhino Orphanage for all their hard work. And yeah, just have a great evening, everyone. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.